So since we have seen a broad overview, right? So we have seen a broad overview in the previous chapter. In this chapter, let's dive in. Let's start diving in, right? So we'll go step by step. Start with the very basics, and we will take each of the topics that we have studied in the broad overview and dive into them. Okay. So the very first concept that we need to learn about is called the character set. I'll explain you what that means, right? So character set basically is nothing but what all characters. A character set is basically a set of characters that are valid, set of characters that are used, right? So that are valid or that are used in C programming, right? In C programming, right? So of course, so the set of characters that you can use for throughout your C programming will be all the capital letters A, B, C up to Z, right? All the capital letters, right? Similarly, all the lowercase alphabets, right? So these are called uppercase alphabets. These are called lowercase alphabets, right? Or some people might also refer them as capital letters and small letters. But the more appropriate terminology is that these are uppercase and these are lowercase alphabets, right? So you can use any of these alphabets in C programming languages. Okay, so similarly you can use all of these numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 9, right? So all of these digits also can be used in C programming language. Similarly, there is something called as white spaces that you can use. Okay, so we have also seen some examples of this. For example, you can use a blank space, right? Just space itself, which is there at the bottom of your keyboard, right? Which represents basically one blank space. Similarly, you can use a new line, right? Similarly, you can use new line. I'll tell you what new line is. Suppose if you're writing some text, okay? Let's say I'm saying A, B, suppose let's say I'm saying, okay, so let's say you might say, A, B, C, D, etc. So let's say I say A, B, C, D. Now I want to go to the new line. Suppose I'm printing this. I want to print A, B, C, D, then I want to print E, F, G, H in the new line. Okay, so that's what is called the new line character, which is also a white space, because what happens here is after you print A, B, C, D, you want to go to the new line, right? So new line is also a special white space character. Just like your space between two characters, new line is a character which will take you to the new line. We'll see about new line characters when we learn about input output, right? When we dive into printf, right? We'll dive and learn more about printf, where we will learn about new line characters in more detail, right? Similarly, there is something called as tab, right? In one of our printf videos, we have seen how tab can be used, right? So if I just use space, so A space B, this is A space B. A tab B basically means I get multiple spaces, right? So A space B looks like this, A tab B will look like this. Okay, so all these are white spaces which will understand better when we learn printf. Okay, I'm giving you some context here. Okay, having said that, there is a fourth type of characters called as special characters. Okay, and the list of special characters is quite large that I don't remember it by heart, to be honest. But typically your special characters are like your plus symbol, which will help you add two numbers, right? Your star, which is your multiplication symbol, right? Your less than, your greater than symbols, right? Your dollar symbol, right? Your exclamation symbol. All these are special symbols, and there are many more and many more and many more, right? So there are many more special characters. I don't remember them by heart. So whenever I'm in doubt, what I do is very simple. I just go to Google. I'll show you what I do. Okay. I just go to Google like this. If you notice, I say character set in C, or I can type special characters in C. Okay. You get a list of all the special characters. For example, here is a list. Okay, I hope this list is complete, right? So if you just Google search for it, again, by the way, sometimes what I do in Google search, this is a very interesting skill that you can pick up, which is when you're searching Google, sometimes it's useful to use the images tab instead of the all tab, right? So here, what did I type? I typed special characters in C, right? And I said images. The moment I go to images, I'll get these nice looking tables, wherein in one glance I can understand all of the characters that are there, right? All of the special characters that are there. So it's a very useful skill lot of people don't use Google image search for things like this, but it's actually a very powerful tool, especially when you have tables or diagrams, and it makes much more easy for you to grasp the information than reading everything in a web page. Okay, so whenever I'm in doubt, I just go to special characters in C and I get it, because I don't remember them by heart. Okay, I mean, the many special characters and I don't certainly remember them by heart. Okay, so broadly speaking, these are the characters that I have. I have alphabets, both uppercase and lowercase. I have digits, I have white spaces and special characters. Broadly, any C program that you write. So what does a character set actually mean? Okay, that's a valid question. A character set is basically a set of characters that you can use in a C programming language. Okay, only these characters can be used. For example, you can actually print characters in non-English languages also today. Okay, so just to give you some context, there are two types of codes, right? There are two types of codes that are broadly used today. There is something called as ASCII and Unicode. Okay, so ASCII is the older one, is the older code, and Unicode is the more modern one, right? To give you a sense of it, okay, ASCII has only character. So basically, at the end of the day, any character you write, right? Any character you write, at the end of the day, in the computer needs to be represented by a number. Okay, so any number. So for example, you write character A, it got to be translated into a number, right? Into a number that we can see, and this number will be translated into binary, into a binary string, right? And this is what is stored in your memory at the end of the day. At the end of the day, anything that you write, any character you write, there is a numerical representation and there is a binary representation for it. And within memory, when a character is stored, right, whether this memory is RAM or it is your disk, whatever it is, okay, whatever it is, you got to store it in binary, because that's the only terminology, or that's the only language that computers understand. You might have heard this many times, right? So at the end of the day, every character that you print or every character that you use needs to be represented by a number. When you have a number, you can represent it to binary. And we'll see some of this as we go. How to convert a number to binary, all of that. You might already know this. If you don't know, we'll learn it as we go. Okay. So at the end of the day, ASCII basically has numbers between 0 to 255. So ASCII has 256 numbers. If you want to think about it, ASCII has 256 numbers, right? So ASCII has 256 numbers. ASCII has 256 numbers to represent any character or any symbol. Okay. So ASCII, which is the older code, right, can only represent 256 numbers, while Unicode, which is more modern, can represent 1,114,112 unique characters. Right. So when you write, so if you have seen your Facebook posts or any other content on the internet which has text in non-English languages. Suppose if you have seen some text in, let's say, Russian script, right? Or if you have seen some script in let's say in Hindi, right? Or in Telugu, right? So, or in Tamil, right? If you've seen any script in these languages, today in modern computers, you can actually write all of these major languages also. Okay, you can actually type in these major languages. So Unicode is a much larger character set where where there are over 1 million, over 10 lakh unique characters, and they represent everything from multiple world languages to there are lots of special characters, special symbols and stuff like that in Unicode. C uses ASCII. Okay, at least the C definition. The C mostly limits itself to the 256 characters or 256 symbols that ASCII can represent. Okay, there are more modern C compilers which can also take Unicode characters, but in general, the core crux of C itself would use the 256 characters or symbols that are present as part of ASCII, right? So again, by the way, if you're curious about what ASCII symbols are, you could just again Google search for it. It's almost impossible to remember that. ASCII character set. Okay, if you just search for ASCII character set, you'll get this. Let's go to images again. Okay, these are all the ASCII characters that you have. Okay, so if you notice, okay, let me just open this, open image in new tab, right? So if you notice this, these are all the characters. If you notice, there are only characters here to till 127. Look at this. Your capital A, if you notice, your capital A is represented as in decimal. Look at this. This is the decimal. We'll see what hexa and octa codes are later. Okay, this is the actual character symbol. So if you look at capital A is represented using 65 as a decimal value. So capital A, whenever you're writing capital A, within the computer it is represented as 65, the numerical value 65. Similarly, if you have small a is represented using 97. Right? So if you notice all the characters from 32, your space is represented using 32. Your exclamation is represented using 33. Again, all these are special symbols. All these are your special symbols in C programming language. I hope these are visible, right? All these are your special characters. Your 0 itself, the number 0 itself is represented, or the symbol 0 itself is represented using your ASCII value of, it has an ASCII value of 48. Okay, this is a standard mapping. This is a standard mapping. This is a standard mapping which everyone uses, which everyone abides to or sticks to. So that when you give me a text file in binary, I know how to read it. So this is like a standard format which everybody uses. Okay. Then you have all of these digits. You have some more symbols here like less than, equal to, greater than, etc. And you have this capital or uppercase alphabet, lowercase alphabet, and a bunch of, you have this tilde. Okay, you might find this tilde on the left top corner of your keyboard, right? So there is also delete button that you typically find on the right top of your keyboard, right? So these are the 128 characters. Look at it. We are starting from 0 to 127. Okay, so these are called the printable characters. Okay, so all these are your printable characters. Again, there are some of these, like for example, I think tab is here, right? Tab is also a printable character. Backspace is also a printable character. Okay, there are other things which we don't use extensively, like escape key is a key that we use, right? So some of these are used in C programming language extensively, some of them not so much. We'll come to them when the context arrives. I don't want to just keep telling you what is what without giving you context, right? So all these are your printable characters, broadly speaking. Okay, the characters from 128 up to 257 are not printable characters, right? Because, sorry, 255, I'm sorry, what did I say, 257, 255. Okay, so the characters that we have are from 0 to 255, right? Right, so we are seeing characters only from 0 to 127 here. So there are more characters in ASCII from 128 to 255 which are not printable, which are not like this. Okay, so whenever you don't know an ASCII character, just Google search for it. Actually, I don't remember it. There are a couple of things that I remember. I remember that space is 32. I remember capital A is 65. I remember small a is 97. That's all I remember. Okay, I don't remember many other symbols. Whenever I'm in doubt, I just Google search for it. There is no need to remember this by heart. Okay, there are a couple of things that you might want to know by heart, like I remember 32, 65 and 97. That's all I remember. Rest of them I don't remember at all. Okay, I also remember 0. I forgot to mention. 0 basically means null. And we'll see why null is useful little later in the course when we learn about pointers and stuff like that. Okay, so I hope this is clear enough what the character set of C itself is. There are alphabets, there are digits, white spaces, special characters, and C typically uses ASCII. The standard definition of C uses ASCII characters, but there are more modern compilers today which also use Unicode. Okay, so you might encounter some C programs which can print characters in Tamil, Russian, Telugu, Hindi, etc. If you find that, probably the compiler is using Unicode. But the standard definition of C programming language itself uses ASCII only.